Then like you had all these different experiences traveling around the world and like, Florida. What brought you to Detroit though? Because that's a different vibe.
Yeah. What brought me to Detroit, and here we go again. It's a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. Um, I really owe it all to COVID and the pandemic. I was so dedicated to my career. My career was my relationship. I nurtured the hell out of my career. Um, and when COVID happened, and before COVID hit, I was really thinking hard and clear about where I wanted to relocate because I didn't want to be in Florida anymore. That chapter for me I knew was over. So when COVID hit, it allowed me to nurture my personal relationships.
Yeah, yeah, facts.
And yeah, and it made me, realize and figure out what is important to me.
That
So,
downtime is everything. When
yes,
during COVID, that
yeah,
downtime, you think like personal life, like where do I want to be? Like I've heard people say they moved to cities just because like, oh, my sister was here or my friend or whatever, right? Just because you want to be surrounded by community, right? Because COVID like
exactly.
exposed that for real.
Exactly, exactly. And, as much anxiety that I had from COVID because I'm like, oh my God, where's my next gig gonna be? Like, what's gonna happen? I was so used to like going and going and going. A part of me was relieved, right? So here I am. I'm like, okay, am I gonna live in Tokyo? Am I gonna be based out of the Philippines? Am I gonna live in LA, New York? I was so open to the idea. I just didn't know where I wanted to call home next.
Yeah.
So I ended up reconnecting with somebody that I had met 5 years prior during a couple of shows down in Key West, Florida. And I nurtured that relationship and we fell in love. And he had to be based in Detroit. And I was so open to moving anywhere. I took this massive leap of faith. I didn't know anything about Detroit.
Yeah.
So that's what brought me here. That's what brought me here. And it's so funny too because I remember I was on my way to Southeast Asia like
Yeah.
10 years prior and I had a layover at the Detroit airport and I was outside and it was raining and it was gloomy and I'll never forget this. I remember thinking, I could never live here.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, I couldn't be happier to be living in
A
Detroit.
lot of people think that though, because it is a different vibe. Like anytime I go to like LA, Miami, somewhere tropical,
Yeah.
come back here, it's like bandos, dark clouds. But it's something about that grind, that grit, that hustle that makes people work hard and like, keep the relationship strong. And
Yeah.
it keeps people like really like grinding and like continuing to go. It's like inspiring in a way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you never get comfortable. It keeps you working hard.
Yeah.
So that's what's up.